everyone, Kelvin here. Welcome to another class, right? So basically what we'll be talking about today is the hover effect, right? So you notice there are different kinds of interactions in um, on that you usually see in products, right? So we have something like this. You have whereby you hover, you see another information. So this operates on two states. Okay. There are different kinds of interactions. You notice when you hover on this, right? This menu it turns to orange, right? So it's same thing. You hover on these logos, they show their actual colors. You get right. So we are all going to talk about how to create hover effects, right? So hover effect is just basically um, creating two states in just one component. Like now this is just a component, this is a picture, but it has two faces, right? Same thing goes for this is just one one shape, but or one object, but it has two dimensions. So that's basically um what you call the hover effect does. All right, so now, and this hover effect only works when we are designing things like websites and stuff. We don't do it in mobile designs, right? So that's the reason is because the arrow this the arrow or the cursor, right? It doesn't exist in the mobile devices, right? So basically how mobile devices work is whatever you see you click, and that's how it is. All right, it's not like the web platform or on the laptop, the desktop, that you can see something and you actually hover on it, right? So with that being said, so let's just quickly head over to Figma, and we're still on the Tix Africa website, right? We would design this and all of that. Then we just basically, so let me just copy this and we'll head over to Figma. Right, so I'll come over here, just type text tools, right? Make this extra bold, make this like 35, no, let's make it 50, 70, right? Yep, this works. The next thing, what's the next thing there? Simple tools for your events. Make this smaller, make this, let's say 30. Okay, then we'll reduce it for and take it down to semi bold. Okay, so have this here. Awesome. So then this is gray, while this is black. So we just zoom in, change it to gray. Right, so then you highlight both of them. Let's align them properly. Always make sure your work is aligned properly. So then we'll move it a little bit. Yep. The next thing we do is basically to create the shapes. Now I just right clicked, I downloaded the picture. All right, you can right click and you say save image. I've saved it already in my system. That's this image, right? You can decide to use any image of your choice, right? So now let me just show you. If you want to use any image of your choice, right, then go back to using this image, right? So give me a second. Okay, let's say I want to make use of this image. First things first, all we need to do is to draw a rectangle. All right, so we are drawing a rectangle where this picture is going to be in, right? So we're going to mask a picture inside the rectangle and make the edges rounded. Then we'll also draw another rectangle that is going to hold this this white background and the text together, right? So we'll draw a rectangle now. Okay, now this rectangle will make it rounded. All right, then this same rectangle, now we're going to duplicate it. Ctrl D. Now we have two. The first one is going to be for pictures, right? So go to where the picture is. Let's say I copy this picture. All right, make sure you always click on the empty space before you paste. Don't select the rectangle and paste. Select an empty space. So let me paste this image. Now let me reduce the size, scale it down. Okay, scale it down. Then you hold this rectangle. Now this particular rectangle, you hold it and you mask. Okay, right? So what I did is select this one, hold your shift key, select this other rectangle, right? Now you have the two selected and you click on this user's mask. All right, so then you have this. Okay, so we have this. Now the next thing we do is remember this rectangle that we duplicated. So the reason why we duplicated this rectangle is we want to have the exact same size, exact same curve. All right, we don't want to start drawing a rectangle from scratch and start having issues. You can draw it from scratch, like after you're done with this, and you now draw this one separately. Whichever way works, whichever one works for you, you can still do that. Okay, so the next thing you do is you drag it, but you notice it's beneath this one. So you come to your layers here, you can see it is under the mask group. You drag it above the mask group, right? So now all you need to do is just align it properly. You can see the text is the rulers, right? The guides are showing me if they're properly aligned or not. Okay, so we have this. Then I'll change the color. Let me take it to a little bit white, close, very, very close to white. So we have this here. Then the next thing I do is basically to write a text. So let's say haircuts, right? So we have haircuts. Now we have this text. Sorry, we have the shape, right? The one beneath. Then we have this rectangle, right? And we have this right up. Okay, now we would select all of them together, right? Just click and drag. Now notice they are all selected: the mask group, the rectangle, and the text. Three of them are selected. You group them, Ctrl G. You group them, Ctrl G, right? Now to create that effect that the picture can be showing at the same time, when you hover on it, this name like this white background and this write up is going to show. Well, that's what we're about to do now. So all you need to do is drag it out of the frame, that is out of this desktop frame. Now we're dragging it out of desktop frame. Okay, so once we drag it out of desktop frame, all we need to do is we now right click, turn it to a frame. Now reason why we're turning it to a frame is because you can only prototype frames. You cannot prototype just mere groups, right? Prototyping means you link one shape to the next one. So to achieve this effect that now it's a picture, right? Someone holding a phone and recording. When you hover on it, is another thing entirely. These are two frames in one, right? Two frames. This is a frame, this is another frame. But for them to become together, you have to convert them to a frame, right? So this initially, this was a group. This second one is a group. But to prototype them to link and see each other, right, you have to convert them to be a frame. Okay, so we have this. You right click and say frame selection, right? So what I did is right click after you've dragged it out of this other frame, because reason why you don't want to do all of these things inside this frame. what we need inside our desktop frame is the finished work. All right, so like if you remember when I was talking about it in the class, I said that this the best explanation I can give to this is, remember, if you go to a, let's say, a wedding where they have where they are sharing food, like a wedding, right, an event, the caterers, you will not see them displaying their pots or the utensils they used to create and they used to cook the food, right? All they bring to the venue is either the takeaway or the ready-made food in maybe coolers where they just serve the food, but you don't see those knives and things they use to make the food, right? So that is this outer part now is like the backyard where we're just basically cooking and creating stuff, right? The final work is what you are going to put into this frame, right? So that's why we're dragging it out of the frame. Okay, so now you right click on this and you say frame selection. All right, you can say frame selection. Now you framed it. You notice it changed to frame one from, it was actually not having any name here, right? So just group 12 on the layer. You right click on it and you say frame selection. After framing the selection, you come to this diamond shaped icon here, right? It says create components. You click on it, it creates a component. Notice that it is now purple around, right? Everything is now purple. So after that, you come to that same icon again, right? Can you see the icon is now having a plus sign? So on that one now you say add variant. This is no more create component. So we already have a component. This is like the parent, right? So now when you want to create a child, like a subsidiary of this, right? So that's what we're going to do now. So you click on this and say add variant. If you want to click on it, notice that it has duplicated it for you. Don't duplicate it yourself. Once you click on add variants, it will duplicate it for you, right? Let me go back again. So once you have made it a frame and you made it a component, go back to that same diamond shape icon. You now see it's now make add variant. So once you click on it, it's going to create another one for you, and this is like another variant of this, right? So now what we need to do is, first of all, we drag this. Let's expand the frame, right? Let's expand the frame. So drag it down. Remember, I clicked on this major frame and I expanded it because you don't want a situation where you drag your variant out of the frame. It might give issues. Okay, so now we have two. This is the default variant, right? If you notice on this website, once you open the website, this image is the default that you always see. Then the variant is when you hover, what shows is the variant. Okay, so all we need to do now is come to this default, double click, make sure open up the layers, right? You see this haircut and this white rectangle. We'll turn it off. Can you see on the layer panel here, you can see the eye icon, right? You click on it. Once you click on the eye, it will turn it off. All right, the same thing goes for this place. You can click on this eye, it will turn it off. So now what we now mean is this shape with the picture, this is the default state, right? Now this one is the temporary state. So by default, this is what they will see on the website. When you now hover, this is what you would see. If you go to the website, you notice by default this is the picture you will see, this ticketing and the image. When you hover on it, that's when you see this write up. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So by default, this is it. Then when you hover, this is it. Now to get that, to achieve that, all you need to do is you come to, sorry, just hold on a second, I want to see something. Okay, you come to this place, right? Make sure you've selected default, right? Default. So make sure it's on default, right? You now change this properties panel to prototype. All right, change this properties panel to prototype. Click on prototype. So now design is no more design. Click it on prototype, right? Immediately you click on prototype, you notice that when you hover on it again, you'll be seeing these circles around, right? So you click on it and you drag. Now when you are dragging, make sure you see this first rectangle around, avoid it, don't settle for that. Drag it again, you would see this second part. So make sure you don't stay on this first one, you drag it to this second one, directly on the white, directly on the shape that you are going to. Now immediately you draw that, you would see a set of instructions. It means you're supposed to give it a set of instructions in the way it should behave. Now the first instruction you will see here is on click. This on click is an instruction, it's a type of instruction that reacts when you use your mouse to do something. So now um what I'm doing is I'm hovering, that is why it is showing this. Now if I say sign up, if I click on it, it will take me to a sign up page, right? Because I clicked on a sign up, right? So if I don't click, it will not take me there. That is what this means. So when I click, it should take me to this place, but we don't want it to click, we want it to hover. So what you now do is, you can see this drop down icon here, you click on it, you see different types of drop down, right? So you choose while hovering, means that anytime your mouse is hovering on this image, it should change to this, right? Anytime my mouse is hovering, you can see it is going around it, it should change to this. Okay, so that's basically what we mean by while hovering. Right now, this is the following instruction, that when it is hovering, change to, right? If yours is not showing change to, it's showing navigate to or scroll something, make sure you put it on change to. Okay, then the next thing you do is, where is it changing to? By default, if you did it correctly, if you dragged this arrow correctly to the place where it's supposed to be dragged to, you don't need to change this, because by default it would already carry the destination. This is the destination. Now you now say, what mode of transition should it have? Instant means it will just change immediately. We don't want it to change immediately, we want it to have a slow, slick transition, right? So you change it and say dissolve, right? You say dissolve. When you dissolve it, it means it would give like some kind of slick transition, right? Ease in, ease out is basically the level of dissolve you want and the time attached to it, right? So that's basically that. So now we'll close this. Okay, so the next thing, you come to this rectangle also and drag this one back to this same place again. Now you notice when I was dragging this outer box, it was there, it was obstructing. You leave it, you go straight to the shape you want to prototype to. Once you release your hand, now I'm selecting, I'm still here. Once I release my hand, it will give me another instruction again, right, for me to program it. Then you click on this on click, change it to mouse leave. Now this is just basically simple English, right? This is basic English. What is this? I hover, right? Change to this while hovering. Now once my mouse leaves this place, change back to default. While hovering, mouse leave. While hovering, mouse leave. So that's basically what it is. So it's plain English. All right, so you just say mouse leave. Okay, then you change it from this change, then you leave it on this change to, then this default means this one is going back to default. Then because we've chosen dissolve initially, it is already on dissolve, right? So then you have that, then we close it. Okay, then the next thing we do, you come to assets, right? Come to assets. Now when you click on, that is on this part on your layer panel here, beside layers you see assets. Click on assets, you have this here. All right, you notice that this is like a summary of what we already had, these two things. That's is like a summary of it. So you drag this one now into your frame. Okay, you drag this one into your frame. It is this one now we need for the frame. So now you can go back to design. Instead of prototype, you click on design. So now this is the one we need. Okay, so now let's check and see if it actually did work. So let's click on presentation mode and open it up. Right, so remember last week, last video we created this nav bar, right? This sticky nav bar, and also for the message, right? So that's what we're using now. Now this is the moment of truth, right? So let us test and see if what we did was, it worked, right? So can you see it's perfect? So once I hover on it, it is going to work, or it's already working, right? So when you hover on it, it will change, right? It will change. So that is basically how to create an a hover effect. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this process, right? So now if let's say you have different pictures like this, so many pictures, this is like six images, and you still want to create hover effect for all of them. All you now need to do is you duplicate this frame. Okay, duplicate the frame. All right, you go into this place. You now start replacing the images and the text. Okay, so I'll go to the image. You know where the image is now in the list. Go and look for an image I want to make use of, right? So let's say I want to make use of this image. Come over here and I paste it. Okay, immediately I paste it, all I need to do is close this part now. Then I come to this variant 2 and change the name to, say, girl's haircut. Girl's haircut. Right, so now let's say I open the rectangle tool and I change the color. Right, so I'll just go to my fill. Right, so let's say I select this. Okay, now I'll go to my assets again. You notice it's already there. It's already there. So you just click and you drag it in. Right, click and you drag it in. So now if we go back to our prototype, the presentation mode, you notice we have it here. All right, immediately we hover, you have this girl's haircut, right? So as many as you want to do it, you can decide to keep duplicating, but now you cannot duplicate this one. It will not work. It will give you issues. It is this one you duplicate, because this one gives birth to this, right? So you need to keep duplicating this outer one, and it will create more assets for you, right? It will create more assets. So if you duplicate another one, to create another asset under this place, right? So that's basically it. Now let's try out with logos. Okay, let's try out with logos. Let's try out with logos. Awesome. So now I'll just copy this logo. It's the Coco magazine. I'll copy the logo. Then the next thing I do is basically I'll just paste it outside, since we'll be using it outside, right? So then the next thing we do is, now this one, because it's just a logo, we don't need all of these shapes and pictures and all of that. So it's just between the dark shade. If you notice, the dark shade, the dark type of this logo, which is this gray one, and
the colored part of this logo, the colored version of this logo. So that's basically what we need. So now the next thing is we come to go back to layers, right? Right click on, if so first of all we have to first duplicate it. All right, so let's press Ctrl D. Now you can, what I'm about to do, you can do it now, or you do it once you've created the frame and you've created another variant, right? So but let me just, you know, do it currently. So all you need to do is just basically look and observe, right? So want to change it to, now we'll have to hold your alt and you drag, you can press Ctrl D, it will duplicate it, but it will duplicate it in one spot, right? See Ctrl D, you notice it has increased in the layer here, so you have two, but it will just increase in on the same, you know, space there. So the next thing we want to do is, one is going to be this gray color, then the other one is going to be this purple, right? So all we need to do is click on, let's say this one, this one is going to be you know, um this one is going to be the gray one. So we just click on this image, right? We click on this image. Now I want to make it black and white. This one is going to be the black and white. So all you need to do is click on black and white, see saturation, right? You click on it and you drag it backwards. Once you drag it backwards, it has lost its color, so it is now um like a black and white, right? So just basically close this. Now the next thing we do is we overlap both of them together, right? Overlap both of them together, make sure the black and white one, um you know, the black and white one is on top of the colored one, right? So that's it. So now the next thing we do is, let us just align them, make sure they are properly aligned. So the next thing we do is to group them, right? Control G, we'll group them, Control G. So we just group them, Control G, sorry, group, Control G. Now the next thing we do is to right click, and frame selection, right click and frame selection, right click and frame selection. After that, the next thing we do is to create a component out of it, right? So create a component out of it. So this is a component, right? This is where you create a component. So make sure it's selected and you create a component. So we have this, right? The next thing you do is, you notice now it is a component, is already purple around. You notice that there's that component icon there, right? So now, but it has a plus in between, right? So all you need to do is click on that icon that has a plus, because you want to make a variant. All right, so you click on it. Now we have this. Now we have two. Remember, I did not use my alt key or Ctrl D to make it two, is because I'm creating a variant of this primary target. Okay, so now all I need to do is come to this default, the primary one. This one is already gray. This is like his default font, right? If so, all you need to do now on this variant, you open the layers of this variant, right? Locate the the layer of this gray and black, the black and white, you turn it off, right? So we have this here. So all we need to do now is expand this, expand it, right? So we just expand it like this. The next thing you do is click on this one, on the default. Now you start prototyping, so you go and click prototype, right? Click on prototype. Now you've turned into prototype mode. You click on the plus not this plus now, the plus that is inside a blue and white circle, you click on it, you drag, right? So you've you've created an interaction. It's not ask you what do you want. This is where you set your instructions to ask you what do you want. So you say you change from on click to while hovering, right? The same process, change to variant to dissolve, so now the next thing you do is you click on this plus icon, you drag it to that back to where we're coming from, right? Now you also say um click on click, you say mouse leave, right? So immediately you click mouse leave, then it means when my mouse leaves this black and white, the purple should not show. But if I clean if I hover on it, the purple should show, right? So that's basically it. So now we'll close this, right? Go back to assets. So we'll go back to assets. We have this logo. So we'll come here, we just drag it in, right? Fair enough. Let's go to our prototype now. Right click and see if so we have this now, right? So when I hover on it, can you see? Perfect, beautiful. It is changing to purple. Okay, it is changing to purple. Please, in case you have any questions, make sure you message me on WhatsApp and I will try as much as possible to reply. Okay, I'll try as much as possible to reply, right? So that's that. So in case you have any issues, just message me on WhatsApp and I will reply, right? So now you can see how the hover effects work, right? So thank you so much for watching. In case you have any issues, just kindly reach out to me. I am more than willing to put you in the right direction. Thank you very much for watching.